When you live in a place like this, sometimes the storm writes your schedule for you. The cold can make things dangerous. Animals still need to feed. Your 300-yard route to safety is completely snowed in. I'm going to show you what a winter storm really means on a homestead. So I'm on my way back to the homestead right now. We knew there was a blizzard coming and I was expecting to have to leave work early today, but unfortunately the storm was a little bit ahead of what the news was forecasting. So I've kind of got stuck right in the middle of it. Right now I'm on a stretch where it's not too bad, but there was a couple parts there where it was a little bit sketchy and a little bit too much for comfort. But unfortunately, driving and living in the prairies, you get used to driving in dangerous conditions, unfortunately, sometimes in the winter. I also had to stop by John Deere today and pick up a hitch pin for my tractor. The hitch, which attaches to the snowblower, has 3 points to it, and the hitch pin on the blower, probably through just vibration, fell off. So without that, it could damage the snowblower, and especially with this crazy storm coming. So I kind of need my snowblower to work properly for this storm, or else we'll be landlocked. So that's okay. But yeah, we're just gonna keep on trucking slow. 4-wheel drive, we'll make it. It says with the wind chill, it's about minus 28 right now. So it's not too bad. And we're just about home. We'll see what state the driveway's in. Sometimes when it's windy, it just blows right over, and it's actually not too bad, but I guess we'll check it out. And we are home. Hi guys. Hey geese. Hi guys. So knowing this blizzard was coming, I was curious how are the birds going to do in this greenhouse. And I have to say it's not bad in here. It's extremely windy outside. It's a blizzard. You can barely see anything. And in here it's nice and calm. I just put some new bedding down and the birds they're doing pretty good. They're obviously at this point they're not laying as much, and that's to be expected, especially when it's extreme cold. It says it feels like it's about -30 outside with the wind chill. Tomorrow it's going to get down to -40, so we'll come back and we'll check on them after as well. So I remember a friend of mine when we first moved out here, he said, "You have the right dream, but the wrong location." And seeing how it is like this kind of makes me laugh at that. Now, mind you, when he said that, we were 100% off grid. I think the first 5 or 6 years out here, we were completely off grid. And, I have to say, since we have a little bit of power, we only ran power for my father-in-law's to the butcher shop, so it's not like we have full power at the house. We're off solar for most of the house, and then we just have a little extension cord running for a couple extra things to make things simplified. But having that little bit of power is a lot more convenient. Having it to the butcher shop, things are much more reliable for our food preservation, having the freezers and everything. But it's not a competition. I remember when we first moved out here, it had to look a certain way. You have to be 100% off grid. Even maybe felt a little bit of guilt about building bigger than a tiny home. And having a little bit of age and maturity now, I see that's complete nonsense. So I hope none of you guys are falling prey to your life has to look a certain way or fall in this specific category to be considered authentic or real or tough or whatever it may be. Most of us who search for a life of freedom or a life of just a little bit more of your own choosing and your own design rather than or created by somebody else. Most of us have a healthy distrust of the government, and if that is true and they don't have our best interests at heart, we have to be there for one another. Living off grid or homesteading, it's not a competition. I see it that we're truly in this together, and that's again one of the reasons why I started YouTubing. I've learned so much, it's ridiculous, from other YouTubers. When we first moved out here, I was watching YouTube all the time, learning how to build, learning about composting, chickens, gardening, everything, how to build up the soil, land preservation, how to plant trees. It's incredible how much I've learned from this, and I'm sure many of you as well. And that's one of the reasons I started YouTubing, is I want to be able to share what I've learned and my experiences along the way too. You want to be able to live a life worth sharing. And I feel that living this kind of life is definitely worth sharing. Let's stop competing with one another. No one's better than the next. We're all living our own journey, and each homestead, each design, each life that we have, it's a certain way for a certain reason. And some of us have hardships where others have conveniences, and vice versa. And some might see how we live out here, it being -30 and windy and blizzarding and impossible to see while you're driving home and extremely dangerous. They might see that as something absolutely crazy. And then I might see someone living in an extremely hot climate and just say, wow, I couldn't handle that. So let's be a team, guys. Let's be each other's cheerleaders. Let's help each other. And especially for some of us who have a hard time asking for help, whether it be certain personal issues or something laborious. Admittedly, I used to have a hard time asking for help, and since I got past that and I started asking friends for help, I have to say there's a lot more kindness that I get to experience in my life, a lot more unity within the community, and a lot more real relationships. Because when you ask for help, you're also allowing someone else to feel good that they get to be in a position to help you. It creates a lot more of a deeper relationship or friendship between people and within your community. It's good to help each other. It's good to learn from one another. And it's good to support one another. We got to come together a little bit more. We got to help each other. Now, I'm curious to see what your hardships are, because this is mine technically, but not really, because another crazy part of me kind of enjoys this stuff. I don't know what it is about the extremes of the weather out here. I don't know, I like it. I like that I can come out here usually once or twice during a really severe storm. Sometimes we get -50 out here and it's just crazy. It's blowing wind and insane and kind of dangerous. But I'll actually come outside and experience it because, you know, why not, right? It's what nature has to offer. It's kind of a mental thing. I can experience dangerous temperatures and extreme weather, but if I know that I have a nice warm hearth and fire to go home to, it's fun. But yeah, the greenhouse is doing good. There wasn't much sun today to actually collect a bit of heat, but as you can see, you know, I don't need my toque or face mask or anything on. It's quite comfortable in here. I'm pretty confident that I've created a good space for the geese and chickens to be in for winter. You know, it's a complete blizzard outside. It's freezing temperatures. The weather doesn't get much worse than this, and the chickens are fine in here. I do bring them out water about once a day, but to be honest, I also load up the snow because no matter what, when I'm gone, the water is going to freeze, and they survive off of just picking at the snow. And unfortunately, you know, I wish I could have water. I will bring a heat source in, or a heated water source in at you know, sometime soon. But until I get to that point, that's just the reality of living, you know, semi-off grid in the Saskatchewan prairies. There's some drafts by the door. I still need to put a threshold and a sweep on that door, so there's a little bit of a draft coming in. But it's not that big a deal. I'll probably pile it up with a little bit of straw before I leave, just to help them get through this storm a little bit. I have to leave this window here cracked open for ventilation, so a little bit of draft comes in here. But it's also where the straw bales kind of narrow in for their exit. It helps block them from getting out of the fencing, but it's also serving as a little bit of a wind block, so there's not much of a snow buildup. But even with that open for ventilation and cold air coming in, as you can see through my breath, you know, it is cold, but it's not dangerous in here. I could take this jacket off and I could sleep out here if I really wanted to all night, so I feel good about that. We'll see what I wake up to in the morning. We'll see what this night and this blizzard truly holds, but we'll have to get up in the morning and put that hitch pin on and probably do some snow plowing, so check that out. But yeah, it's good to come out here and know that these guys are doing good, and yeah, I can sleep a little bit better tonight. I'm gonna go start a fire in the house.
Big puppy, 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 puppy. Hey guys.
Hey. Come in from a blizzard into a nice warm house and cuddle with a puppy. Not bad. They just had dinner, now they're ready for bed.
Hermione.
Oh, girl. Life's pretty good. first great big plow of the year if we didn't bust a shear pin. So what we have to do is right in here, there's two brackets that a bolt keeps them together like that, and that's meant to shear off if there's too much pressure. So that part broke off right there. I always keep a couple things in here that you'll need, like some wrenches. There. The puppies are out now. We're gonna take a puppy break. Hey, Happy. Hey, buddy. How's it going, Happy? You playing with your kiddos? Guys, come here.
Happy walks when he's cold. Gives
Yeah.
him the, like,
Yeah. You know, life is just tough sometimes. Okay, back to work. So what we have to do is line up these two brackets, and it looks like they're together on camera, but they have to be perfectly lined up. You can just move it. If you see right in that hole, let's see here. Now, if you see, that bracket's moving. And then you can line up all the way. You have to make sure that it's raised up off the ground, because if you got this planted in a snowbank, this isn't going to be able to move if it's just buried in snow. So you have to be able to do that, so you can manipulate that bracket, and then it's much easier to get your bolt in. There, that's on. Okay. Good to go. That's turning good. There you go. There you go. You can see those turning together now. PTO is good. I got the camera on zoom right now, but don't ever stick your hand down there. Now, a lot of people ask us why we got the rear mounted snowblower. instead of the front mounted? And simple answer, I think it's safer. I think it's better. And I think you have more options to get out when you live in an extreme climate, and out in the country for that matter. In case of emergency, you need to be able to get out fast. And if that rear mounted was front mounted and we got stuck, as you can see, you can use the bucket to get yourself out of a jam and unstuck. This thing is 4-wheel drive, but if you take it in thick snow or if it gets buried, you're not getting out as easily. At least with this way, in case of emergency or we had to go to the hospital or something, we can just plow right out, and if we get stuck, use the bucket to just etch our way along. Plus, you can just do so much more with the bucket too. I love this snowblower. It can shoot up to about 40 feet. This is a 4-foot wide bucket. And the reality is we have had to actually get emergency vehicles come on the land and help us out. When you live in a cold climate and you have kids, you have to think about safety first. That's the reason why I chose the bucket on the front and not the front mounted snowplow. I don't have attachments yet, but if I did, I'd probably just leave those two on all winter long and good to go. I'd like to hear what kind of weather problems you guys have. Put it in the comments down below. I think about how things were when we first moved out here, and during a big storm we didn't feel prepared. We would actually have to park our vehicles at the very front of the land, walk the whole 300 yards in, which was no problem, but we had to do that if we felt that during a storm we'd at least be able to get out, to get to our jobs the next day, in case of emergency, get to the hospital or get wherever you need to go. And lots of our success at the very start of this was due to some really sweet neighbors helping us out. We have some pretty crappy neighbors out here too. We also have some absolutely amazing ones, some of which I've become very good friends with. Get to know who the good ones are. Help them out if you can, because no matter what, there is definitely going to be a time when you need your neighbors. But the reality now that we're further along in our homesteading journey and we have things like tractors and, good neighbors, when a storm like this hits, we feel quite prepared. We have our wood nailed down now. We know how much that we need ahead of time in case we do have a really cold winter, so just so we don't run out. Being homesteaders, most of us have freezers full of food, so thankfully that's not a big problem for us. You got to make sure that you have enough diesel for the tractor in case you have a couple big storms and then it just comes and snows all over your hard work. That's happened before. See, I pushed the snow back in some of these areas in the acreage where everything builds up. There's lots of low points where the high points there, lots of times the snow just kind of drifts off if it's blowing really hard. But then in these areas where it drops down, it likes to collect here and it likes to come in from there. So if I'm able to, if it's a winter with a lot of snow, lots of times it'll just be pushed back to where Happy is there, and that'll actually create its own kind of barrier. This is probably the worst spot right here through this little corridor where it's got trees on both sides of it. So there's not really anywhere for the snow to go. So it just packs in here, sometimes 2-3 feet deep. So I try to push everything back as much as I can that way. I'm definitely not going to cut down these trees. This place looks amazing in the summertime. So we just got to keep maintaining it and pushing it back. You have to really love this life. Lots of times it's not just forward momentum and progress. Sometimes it's just maintenance. So you really have to enjoy the kind of lifestyle homesteading in a cold climate offers if you want to truly live and thrive out here.